Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiteshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu ad debri Torah. Blessed are you, Eternal, our Elohim, Sovereign of the universe, that has sanctified us with your commandments and has ordained us in respect for the studies of your word of the Torah. Please, O Eternal Elohim, our Elohim, make the words of your Torah be pleasant to our mouth and in the mouth of all the people of Israel, that both we and our descendants, as well as the descendants of our descendants and the descendants of your people Israel, be aware of your name and studiers of your Torah for the sake of themselves. Blessed are you, Eternal, who teaches Torah to your people Israel. Shalom Ahim, my brothers and sisters. This is your servant and friend, Roy Ephraim Jaime, bringing you today's fourth day AliYAH from Parashat Beshalaj, found in Exodus chapter 15, verse 27 through chapter 16, verse 10, by Dr. Roy Carlos Reyes, International Ministries, Restoring the House of Israel. Fourth AliYAH and its narration. They arrived at Elim, where there are 12 water fountains and 70 palm trees. Then, on the 15th day of the second month, they arrived in Shin Desert, between Elim and Sinai. There the whole congregation murmurs against Moses and Aaron, saying that they have been brought to that wilderness to starve them to death. The Eternal promises to rain bread from heaven, and that the people will have to gather daily. Thus they will be tested to see whether or not they are in the instruction. Every 6th day of the week they will have to prepare double quantities. Moshe and Aaron speak to the people and say that in the evening they will know that Adonai has brought them out of Egypt, and in the morning they will see his glory. The murmuring are not against the leaders, but against the Eternal. In the afternoon they will have meat, and in the morning they will have bread. Aaron tells the children of Israel to come into the presence of the Eternal. Then the glory of the Eternal is manifested in a cloud towards the desert. Let us begin reading. Verse 27, chapter 15 of the book of Exodus, Shemot. They came to Elim, where there were 12 springs of water and 70 palm trees, and encamped there by the waters. Elim means gods, and also powerful. There was a fountain for each tribe and a palm tree for each of the nations of the earth. In the book of Psalms, chapter 92, verse 12, it is written, "The righteous will bloom like the palm." The palm tree is also related to the feast of Sukkot, Leviticus chapter 23, verse 40, which is the feast of all nations. So from this we learn that the 12 tribes of Israel are the ones who give water to that righteous people, so that the righteous people may arise from among the nations, and they may enter into the feast of the coming kingdom, as it is written in Revelations chapter 7, verse 9. After this I looked, and saw a great multitude which no one could number, from all nations, kindreds, people, and tongues, standing before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed in white robes, and with palms in their hands. 12 fountains representing the 12 tribes of Israel. 70 palm trees that represents the 70 nations of that time, typifying the totality of nations in which it is scattered today. That is, prophetically speaking, that the 12 tribes of Israel would be a blessing to the other nations of the world. And all the nations, the 70, would be led by the water fountains, which are all the tribes of Israel, and not just one, Jehudah. Let us go to Exodus chapter 16, verse 1. They departed from Elim, and all the congregations of the children of Israel came to the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second month after their departure from the land of Egypt. This teaches us that the manna came on the 16th day of the second month. According to the Talmud, manna arrived in the morning on the first day of the week. In such a case, the departure from Egypt will be on the 5th day of the week. Just as the manna came on the first day of the week, so the Messiah was resurrected on the first day of the week to give eternal life to everyone who receives that bread from heaven. We only want to highlight this date since the departure from Egypt for the sole purpose of making clear that the day of the week that the Israelites left Egypt just a month earlier, looking for an interesting comparative chart with Yahshua's death, the Passover lamb. Day 15 of the second month. Exodus chapter 16, verse 2. And all the congregations of the children of Israel murmured against Moses and against Aaron in the wilderness. The reason was that they no longer had anything to eat. The sages say that the bread they brought out of Egypt lasted 30 days. However, in Deuteronomy, Devarim, chapter 8, verse 2 and 3, it is written, And you shall remember all the way that the Eternal, your Elohim, has brought you through the wilderness during these 40 years to humble you, testing you, that you may know what was in your heart, whether you would keep his commandments or not. And he humbled you and let you hunger, and fed you with manna, which you did not know, nor your fathers had known, to make you understand that man not only lives by bread, but lives by everything that proceeds from the mouth of Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. This gives us reasons to think that there was some time between the end of the bread and the day when the Eternal gave them the manna. Due to the lack of food, the congregation murmured against their leaders. Many times when things are going well, we are faithful to the Eternal. But when the situation worsens, that's where our nature really comes in. The same thing happened with the nation of Israel. As long as they saw the feats that Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh performed before their eyes, all was well. But when the need began to grow, their value were removed. When this happens, the first thing we do is blame others. And what we really need to do is obey the Most High, even in the most difficult moments. Obey the leaders that He has put in place. An unbeliever looks around, a believer looks up. Let us not forget, day 15 of the second month was the day on which the Israelites murmured. Exodus chapter 16, verse 3. The Israelites said to them, would that we had died at the hands of Yod-Heh-Vah-Peh in the land of Mitzrayim, when we sat by the pot of meat, when we ate bread to our hearts' content. For you have brought us out into the wilderness to starve this entire congregation. This was expressed on the day 15 of the second month. In Exodus chapter 16:4 says, Then the Eternal said to Moses, Behold, I will rain bread from heaven for you, and the people shall go forth and gather daily the portion of each day, to test them whether they walk in my law or not. Normally, bread comes from the earth. Here we see how the Eternal changes the order of the natural and gives them bread from heaven to teach them about the Messiah, who is the bread from heaven, as it is written in John chapter 6, verse 31 to 35. Our fathers ate manna in the wilderness, as it is written, He gave them bread from heaven to eat. Then Yahshua said to them, Truly, truly, I say to you, it is not Moshe who gave you the bread from heaven, but it is my Father who gives you the true bread from heaven. For it is the bread of Elohim that comes down from heaven and gives life to the world. Then they said to him, Adonai, always give us this bread. Yahshua said to them, I am the bread of life. He who comes to me will not hunger, and he who believes in me will never thirst. Yod-Heh-Vah-Peh promises to sustain the people. He was going to perform a miracle that they would not forget because he was going to rain bread from heaven, the manna. But at the same time, he wanted to test who was going to obey and who was not. The word Torah means instruction. The word Toratot means instructions. The Eternal says to Moshe in the future tense, I will cause bread to rain from heaven, which corresponds to collecting the ration day by day. It is important to remember that this is said by Yod-Heh-Vah-Peh on the 15th day of the second month. There is also a very clear typology regarding Yahshua. He identified himself as the bread of life, as Yohanan, the book of John, chapter 6, verse 31 through 35, recounts. Our fathers ate manna in the wilderness, as it says in the Tanakh. He gave them bread from heaven to eat. Yahshua said to them, Yes, indeed, I tell you that it was not Mashiach who gave you bread. It was not Moshe who gave you bread from heaven. But my Father is giving you the genuine bread from heaven, because the bread of Yod-Heh-Vah-Peh is the bread that comes from heaven and gives life to the world. They said to him, Adon, give us some of this bread from now on. Yahshua answered, I am the bread that is life. Whoever comes to me will never hunger, and whoever trusts in me will never thirst. Reading on Exodus chapter 16, verse 5. But on the sixth day, when you measure what you have brought, it will prove to be twice the amount you gather each day. We will highlight but the sixth day to make a recount and give a greater understanding. The Israelites murmur on the 15th. The Eternal tells them on the 15th that he will give them manna day after day to begin on the 16th with the delivery of manna. But on the sixth day, that is, on the 21st, to collect double the amount. This is tremendous because then the 22nd day of the second month is Shabbat, the seventh day. We are talking about the 22nd day of the month of AliYAH, which corresponds to the second month and which therefore corresponded to Shabbat. For what we understand that they murmured on the previous Shabbat on the 15th of AliYAH. Aviv or Nisan is the 30-day month. By doing the exercise in retrospect of the days, we discover something wonderful. Israel leaves Egypt on the 15th of Aviv, Nisan, that is, a Thursday. So the Passover meal was the day before the 14th day of Aviv on a Wednesday. That is, the same day that Yahshua dies as Passover, the Pesach lamb. The lamb that takes away the sin of the world. Dear brothers and sisters, this reasoning shows us to the millimeter how all prophecy we projected on the Exodus from Egypt is in accord with our coming out of darkness and the slavery of sin. Our Mashiach, Yahshua, dies between two afternoons, 3 p.m. on the 14th of Aviv, a Wednesday, and is buried before sunset, as at that time it was the beginning of the high Shabbat of the Passover holiday. Yahshua fulfills the 3 nights and 3 days in the tomb, rising in the weekly Sabbath. This account also allows us to understand that the first day of Aviv or Nisan the beginning of the months of the year and Rosh Chodesh falls on a Thursday. This is a strong argument that breaks with the theory of lunar Shabbat in the time of Mashiach Yahshua. Exodus chapter 16 verse 6 to 8. Then Moshe and Aaron said to all the children of Israel, in the evening you will know that the Eternal has brought you out of the land of Egypt. And in the morning you shall see the glory of Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, for he has heard your murmurings against the Eternal. And what are we that you should murmur against us? And Moshe said, this will happen when the Eternal gives you meat to eat in the evening and bread to fill you in the morning. For the Eternal has heard your murmurings against him. Well, what are we? Your murmurings are not against us, but against Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. Here are 2 things that reveal secrets about the Messiah, the evening and the morning. In verse 12, this message is repeated, but there it is explicitly said that it will be between the 2 evenings that they will eat meat. The Messiah died between the 2 evenings, as we saw in the previous Parashat. This text reveals to us that the Messiah had to be resurrected in the morning so that we could see the glory of the Eternal and be totally satisfied. It was not in the morning when Miriam and Magdala saw Yahshua resurrected. From this passage, we understand 2 things. That Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh knows our needs and supplies them. We see that he gives the manna on the morning of the following day, the 16th of AliYAH, and meat in the evening. Sometimes we confuse what we want with what we need, which is sometimes not the same thing. It's not the same thing, but we must keep in mind that the Eternal gives us what we need, regardless of whether we want it or not. And 2, that when we murmur against creatures, we are not really against them, but against their Creator. And that was precisely what Moshe taught the people, that in murmuring against him and his brother, it was really the one they were murmuring about who had brought them to where they are. Acts chapter 5, verse 38 and 39 says, "So now I say to you, get out of these men and leave them, that if the idea of that work is of men, it will be destroyed. But if it is of Elohim, you will not be able to destroy it. Take care that you do not find yourself fighting against Elohim." Amen. This concludes the fourth AliYAH. I pray that it has been a blessing to you and that the Eternal may help all of us see the way to live for Him and make it to the promised land. Shalom Aleichem.